New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring. New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Live from a secure concrete bunker somewhere in Ohio, New Thought Media Network presents Pastor Michael Mangus with Friday's Fireside Chat, spiritual conversation for today. Here he is from the secret radio room, surrounded by thousands of watts, Pastor Michael Mangus.
Well, it's going to be an interesting evening here. Already. Well, hello there. Welcome to the Friday evening Fireside Chat here on your New Thought Media Network. I am the Reverend Michael Mangus, and I am broadcasting this evening from the super secure concrete bunker somewhere around Akron, Ohio, in the Attila the Hun radio room, surrounded by thousands, and I mean thousands of watts, broadcasting to the whole world with only one person knowing where I am located, and that is my friend Diego. Everyone else has no idea where the super secret concrete bunker is located, especially that Reverend Dr. Robert Brzezinski, who may be watching this evening. He says he's found it on Google Earth, but I doubt it. I really do. Well, we do have a wonderful show for you this evening. And again, please feel free to interact with us by posting your comment either on Facebook or on YouTube. And again, all my shy people out there, I know you're out there. You don't want to comment. I get it. All you need to do is send me an email. pastormichaelmangus@gmail.com, pastormichaelmangus@gmail.com. And also, if there's a news story during the week that you would like me to feature, again, pastormichaelmangus@gmail.com. So the purpose of our get-together on Friday evenings is to get our warm beverage and to sit by the fire and to talk about contemporary issues from a spiritual and or new thought perspective. And as I keep saying week after week, I want us all to have a new thought about what is going on in the world and how we can play a part in bringing about a world that does work for everyone. Once again, I'm going to bring you on stage.
All right, let me get ready.
Are your glasses clean?
Yeah, I think so. Can you see the reflection is so much better?
It is. It's really good.
Yeah.
Once again, by popular demand, we have from the great state of Tennessee, originally from the great state of West Virginia, we have divine science minister and soon to be New Thought Media Network host, the Reverend Jeff Radcliff, who always has an interesting take on the news.
You need to stop introducing me as a guest. I've been on here enough and more regularly than anybody else.
Than anyone else.
you've
Are you
made
on
me a
staff
co-host.
now?
I'm very near to being on staff. I'm waiting for a check that actually doesn't bounce. So if Robert is listening, send a good one.
Oh, you mean the checks bounce? Oh, you mean
Yeah.
you actually get checks
Oh my God, I've got a drawer full of them,
and they all bounce?
like a little rubber ball. It's amazing. Lily loves them.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm practically a co-host here now, so you might as well just introduce
Okay.
me as such. But yes,
As a co-host.
yes. But in
Now,
2
hold it
weeks,
now. Yeah.
2 weeks, in 2 weeks, we start a brand new show with moi
Yeah.
and a couple of my minister friends from Divine Science, and so yeah, it's on the way. It's on the way.
You guys know what you're going to do?
Yes.
Oh,
We had a meeting yesterday to kind of hash some things out. We came up with a couple of glitches that need to be worked out, but yeah, we got a handle on it.
all right.
So
I've heard here through the grapevine that you've had a few storms in the area there,
yeah,
and that the liquor cabinet is running low.
oh my God, you have no idea.
So we are sending from the New Thought Media Network our team of St. Bernards with enough booze to get you through this emergency. By the way, this team of St. Bernards were personally trained by the Reverend Dr. Robert Brzezinski in the Swiss Alps to respond to emergencies like this.
He trained them himself in the Swiss Alps.
Yeah.
Well, it's no damn wonder the checks bounce then, is it?
Yeah, it's because he's over in the Swiss Alps, huh?
Exactly. But how cool is it? This is awesome.
But that's all for you, though. That's all coming your way.
I'm loving it. And yeah, because we've got more weather coming in. The last couple of nights, I have been surrounded by more watts than you have because it's been wall-to-wall thunder and lightning the past 2 nights. And I haven't seen official numbers yet, but they're saying that somewhere around between 7 and 10 inches of rain by the time the weekend's over, and most of it has already. We got about half of it at least because we've got more stuff coming for tomorrow and Sunday. But yeah, they're calling for like between 7 and 10 inches total of rain.
So those folks in those areas, please watch out for flash floods because they will take you out.
And tornadoes. We've had tornadoes. I think I saw where 8 people in Tennessee have died from storm-related incidents. So yeah, it's been pretty bad down through here the past couple of days.
Well, besides April Fool's Day on the 1st,
yes,
and Liberation Day, as declared by our illustrious president, Donald J. Trump on the 2nd, yesterday was a national holiday. Yours truly celebrating his 39th and holding birthday. So all of the New Thought Media Network sends birthday greetings to our own Reverend Michael, not to be confused with Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith.
So you've been holding at 39, you said?
Yes.
For what, 31 years now? You're 70 now, right?
No. I told you last week.
I know. I'm just sticking it in. I'm just twisting the knife.
Oh, I bet you are. Oh, yeah. Oh, great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jeff. Really appreciate it, bud.
You're welcome.
Now, unfortunately, we have to get to the real news.
Well,
all the craziness going on in the world here, especially here in the United States. The Dow plunges over 2,200 points after China retaliates against Trump tariffs. The U.S. stocks were battered by a sell-off on Friday after China retaliated against the United States for President Donald Trump's tariffs in a tit-for-tat that escalated a global trade war. The Dow plunged, get this, 2,231 points, or 5.5%. The broader S&P 500 was 5.97% lower, and the tech-heavy NASDAQ composite was 5.82% lower. The NASDAQ closed in a bear market for the first time since 2022 because it is tech-laden, down more than 20% from its record high in December. So the Dow closed in correction, down more than 10% from its record high in December. It is the first time that the Dow has closed in correction since March 7th, 2022, according to Sam Stovall, who's the chief investment strategist at CRFA Research. The Dow posted its biggest back-to-back losses since March of 2020 during the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. So, what our fearless leader, Mr. Art of the Deal, number 47, what he's doing is he's trying to negotiate using these tariffs. So U.S. stocks briefly rallied from their lowest point of the morning after Trump posted on social media that he had a very productive call with Tu Lam, who's the general secretary of the Communist Party of Vietnam. Lam told me that Vietnam wants to cut their tariffs down to zero if they are able to make an agreement with the U.S. I thanked him on behalf of our country and said, I look forward to meeting him in the near future. Nike, which slumped on Thursday, rallied then 5%. And the reason being is that Nike relies extensively on international supply chains and imports from Vietnam, where many of its factories are located. What do you think of that, Jeff?
Well, I know that fearless leader still doesn't understand how tariffs work. All I know for sure is that any money that comes into this country because of them is going to go right into his pockets and the pockets of his big rich friends, while the rest of us are paying lower or paying higher costs for everything. Fortunately, we all know that our source of supply does not come from lower tariffs or non-existing tariffs, and it certainly doesn't come from Donald Trump. If we keep our eyes on Spirit, we know that our needs will be met. So let him play his silly little financial games. It's all going to backfire on him eventually anyway. So
I had a conversation with someone on Facebook this week. They said, why do you even have conversations with these MAGA individuals? And I said, well, because that I want to see what these individuals are thinking. And I believe that if we start going ahead and having them see inconsistencies, that what will happen is that the BS or the belief system that they currently hold will start disintegrating. And I think that what's going to happen here, especially towards the summertime, is that personally, either themselves or someone else will be affected by all of this.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say good
that's a sad state of affairs that they're not going to do anything or understand how this is going to affect them until they actually get whumped upside the head with it. But
Mara says, hello, funny ministers.
Laura's easily entertained, isn't she? Because this is like really lowbrow humor.
Love this. Keep it light and funny. Absolutely. Mara says, oh, wow. Absolutely. And we also have from the Chief Operating Officer of Summit Center for Spiritual Living, my boss,
My girlfriend.
Diana Mangus. This says, hello, Jeff and Michael. Hello there. Oh, but
We
guess
love
what?
Diana.
The hits just keep on coming.
Mm-hmm.
Despite Trump's urging, Powell says that the Fed is in no rush to change rates. So number 47 called on Jerome Powell, who's the Federal Reserve Chair, to cut interest rates, a demand that the president has made numbers of times of his handpicked central bank leader, with whom he has had a falling out. Powell says on Friday that the Fed is in no rush to make any moves despite Trump's historic tariffs. Powell said, our macro economists are all working hard to kind of digest this news of this week and to try to filter that into the forecast that they'll make. And policymakers are doing very much the same thing. Powell said, I will say, though, it feels like we don't need to be in a hurry. Powell acknowledged that inflation is rising and economic growth is slowing, but it's not clear what policy moves the Fed will need to make in response, if any. The Fed's next meeting will be held the first week of May. Powell also said that the central bank was also taken aback by the scope of the tariffs that President Donald Trump put into place. Do you think? You mean he had no warning? So
he's not all that concerned, though.
Well, okay, but that will mean that the economic impact of the tariffs will be greater than previously believed. He said at the Society for Advancing Business Editing and Writing's annual conference. Powell says it is becoming clear that the tariffs and their increases will be significantly larger than expected. Yeah, you think? The same is likely to be true of the economic effects, which will include higher inflation and slower growth. The size and duration of these effects remain uncertain. Powell last month says that there is a good chance that the inflationary efforts of tariffs would be transitory, you think, as was inflation following Trump's imposition of tariffs in his first term. But Trump has announced tariffs on $2.5 trillion of imports in his second term. In his first term, he only imposed tariffs on just a paltry $380 billion worth of goods. So there's a 25% tariff effective as of March 12th on aluminum and steel coming into this country. On pharmaceuticals, automotive, and also other things, 25% tariff on finished cars to take effect on my birthday, April 3rd. I don't like that as a birthday present. And also copper semiconductors tariff is unspecified and currently undergoing investigation by the Department of Commerce. That also goes for timber and lumber also. Your comments, Reverend Radcliff.
Well, finance is not my strong suit, so I tend to shy away from these kind of discussions. But all I know is that they don't seem too worried about the interest rates as of yet. And I think that's probably because everybody on that committee is rich. They don't have to worry about, 1 point or half a point or 3/4 of a point either way, like the rest of us. So I go back to what I said earlier, realize that even the feds don't supply me. I've got everything that I need through Spirit. It comes when I need it. So I'm not going to worry too terribly much about it.
So that's the first of 3 points that I have here. So what are we to do with all of this chaos? First of all is, again, remain at peace. That's my advice here. Affirm that God is the source of your supply. I know it's easier said than done. However, our focus needs to be on abundance rather than on scarcity, because that's what's going to produce in our lives. Now, if you are invested in the stock market or a 401k, please, for goodness sakes, talk to a financial advisor before you do anything. Stocks historically come back, even after downturns such as this. And I remember a gentleman I worked with at the county, there was a downturn in the market, and he called up his broker and he says, I just lost $40,000. And so he went ahead and he cashed in all of his stocks. More than likely is that it not only did it come back, but it also made a profit. So again, talk to your financial advisor before you do anything. The other thing too is let your voice be known at the over 1,000 protests that will be held tomorrow all across this nation and the world. Handsoff2025.com, or if you go to mobilize.us, mobilize.us. The Mobilize website I have found to be a better site to give you information on where you can protest in your area. So go out tomorrow. Let your voice be heard, because this is getting crazy, and that I still cannot believe that individuals still support this man. Go ahead, Reverend Jeff Radcliff.
Everybody's got to be somewhere, so some of them have to be behind him to figure that one out. Oh, and just to piggyback on what you said about speaking to your financial advisor, just an observation from somebody who knows just enough to be dangerous. If stocks are going down, it's a good time to buy, right? Buy low, they'll come back, they'll rebound, then sell them when they're higher. But if you've got extra money laying around and you can afford it, throw it toward the stock market and buy yourself some stock.
Again, we here at the New Thought Media Network and also our legal department, Reverend Jeff is not a financial advisor, nor does he play one on TV.
That is true. So take what I say with a grain of salt. But this, if nothing else, take the idea to your financial advisor and see what they have to say.
Absolutely. How about one more before we go on a break?
Okay.
And because it's from Ohio, I'm going to take full responsibility for this story.
I knew I recognized you when I saw that picture.
Well, oh, you mean Trump 2024 picture with the guy making the Nazi salute?
Isn't that what you? Yeah, that's what you just put up, right?
Yeah.
You're waving goodbye to him, right? It's like, bye, Trump. See you later. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord. Yeah. So go ahead.
Mega Man, with the fashion sense of a 9-year-old, storms Ohio anti-Tesla protest to make the Nazi salute. That's one proud Nazi, one source says. The MAGA supporters are getting creative at ridiculing the anti-Tesla protest. With the anti-Tesla demonstrations on the surge nationwide, supporters of 47 and his senior advisor, which I have heard rumors that he is on the way out, Elon Musk, are resisting. At a recent rally in my home state of Ohio, a Trump loyalist showed his disregard for the movement. As seen in the photo on Reddit, the middle-aged Caucasian man was seen amid a crowd of demonstrators who held signs. Some of the place cards read, "Honk if you hate Nazis," "Doge illegal," and "Don't buy nasty cars" or Nazi cars. The chubby dude pictured there posed with one of his hands to the sky, imitating Musk's infamous salute at Trump's inauguration. He wore a black and red t-shirt with the bold inscription, "Trump 24, 2024, make America great again." He added, of course, a red baseball cap and a pair of sunglasses to the outfit. As expected, the photo sparked various comments from people on Reddit who blasted the man for his support. This user wrote, "This is what they all look like," laughing out loud, "fat and with the fashion sense of a 9-year-old boy." And you can bet that this man was not dressed by a gay man.
That's not any of my people's work, that's for sure.
A second user penned, "I honestly love how more right-wingers have started doing Nazi salutes. It's like arguing with someone, and then they tell you the moon landings didn't happen. You don't have to bother caring what they believe." A third remark read, "Nazi trash, that is one proud Nazi." And again, the shirtless man charged at the group, yelling at them for the movement. When he was asked to express his anger calmly, he flared up more, telling the crowd to get out of his face. And one man from the crowd told the irate dude, that's what the story says, that they were exercising free speech. And the dude responded that he was also exercising his. And the war keeps brewing on both sides as these anti-Tesla protests are bound to keep getting more dramatic. Your comments, Reverend Jeff Radcliff.
Well, first of all, like I said, at first glance, that I thought that was you waving goodbye to Trump. But now that we know the rest of the story,
oh, well, I mean, the guy didn't have anything else better to do on a Saturday afternoon.
apparently not.
Except put on his Trump 2024 shirt and go to an anti.
Well, he couldn't afford to go to Mar-a-Lago to watch Trump play golf, which is what he's been doing every freaking week since he got in to the White House again. So,
well, today,
next best thing.
Well, today I started the Fireside Chat prep early because I knew that Donald was off playing golf with the Saudis. So I said, okay, I'll take this opportunity to get started on the Fireside Chat a little early.
And then waited until the last minute and needed prompting to make sure I was here.
Oh no, I knew. See, in the force, in the field, I knew that you were going to be here.
Yeah. So you waited until 10 seconds before we went live to send me the login link. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's because yours truly had issues getting into his computer. Next, right after the break. Once again, approved by legal. Reverend Jeff's story of the week. And once again, legal said this is kind of weak for Jeff. Jeff is wimping out on us.
No. And I will explain that later. No.
Okay. All right.
I'm just walking on sunshine.
Walking on sunshine.
Yeah. Just call me Katrina. You can be one of the waves.
I can be one of the waves. Okay, that's nice.
One of the waves.
Well, hello there and welcome. This is a Friday evening fireside chat here on your New Thought Media Network. We'll take a quick break and then we'll be back with Reverend Jeff's story of the week. Week. I still don't know how to add echo to that yet. Maybe I can mess around with Odyssey here and find out how to do that. Well, on Sunday morning, why don't you wake up and spend some time with us at Summit CSL. For more information, go to summitcsl.org. There, you will find more information on how to get on our Zoom call. And our service time is at 10:30 Eastern and also 7:30 Pacific. Grab your cup of coffee, your tea, your espresso, whatever wakes you up, and please join us. And we do, I believe, have one of the best services in New Thought because we do balance the 3 M's. That's music, meditation, and message. And this Sunday, we'll have as our guest speaker one of our members, Deb Haley, will be speaking on the Course in Miracles. So go to summitcsl.org for more information on how to join our Zoom call. And yours truly is also available for individual practitioner sessions, also Sunday speaking and ceremonies, weddings, and also funerals. So again, if you need me, send me an email at pastormichaelmangus@gmail.com. Did I miss the penguin story? I did not put the penguin story in, but more than likely Jeff will comment about the penguins. All kinds of interesting news happening here. Well, we're going to take a quick break and then we will be right back. This is the Friday evening fireside chat here on your New Thought Media Network.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for being part of the New Thought Media Network. Please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
The views and opinions expressed by Pastor Michael Mangus are generally right. However, they are his own and do not reflect the views and opinions of New Thought Media Network, Centers for Spiritual Living, or any other person living or dead. As they say in the 12-Step Recovery Program, take what you like and leave the rest. Here again is Pastor Michael.
With Jeff Radcliff. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the moment that you have all been waiting for. It is now time for Reverend Jeff's story of the week. Take it away, Reverend Jeff.
Okay. Nature has been giving us a pretty interesting experience the past couple of days. And so when I came across this story, I thought, well, this is really kind of cool. I've got an admiration for this guy. His name is Captain Brandon Upton, and he's from Corpus Christi, Texas. And he was out on his boat back in 2018, when it was still the Gulf of Mexico. And he saw this little shadow floating in the water, and then he saw more shadows, and he couldn't figure out what he was looking at. So he got closer, and he discovered that he was seeing sea turtles. Now, because they're endangered and they're protected, he didn't touch them or anything. He contacted the ecologists at the San Padre Island National Seashore Park, and they told him that what was going on with the turtles was that they were cold stunned. I'd never heard of that before. Cold stunning it's a normal phenomenon for sea turtles, in which the turtles, who are, of course, are reptiles and cold-blooded, they fall into a comatose state when the seawater temperature falls below 56 degrees Fahrenheit. Their heart rate and their metabolism both drop, and they float. They're incapable of moving. They're in a coma, basically. So this puts them at all kinds of risk. Boats could come along and hit them. They could drown. And if the tide should take them into sea, they could get eaten by any number of land predators. So Captain Upton helped to rescue the sea turtles. He called for some airboats, and I'm not sure exactly what an airboat is. I didn't go that far into my research, but he got 3 airboats full of sea turtles that he rescued so he could take back to shore to the folks at the San Padre Island National Seashore. And of course, Captain Upton was able to commandeer 3 airboats because he's the owner and operator of a business called Seatow, which is basically a boating assistance company.
Okay.
So the San Padre Island, what's that?
I said, okay. Go ahead.
Okay. So the San Padre Island workers put the sea turtles, took them to their rehab center, and put them in warm water, and they gradually warmed them up, brought their temperatures back to where they needed to be to restart their system, and then they took them back out and re-released them into the Gulf. So now Captain Upton has been rescuing sea-stunned turtles for the past 7 years. And whenever the water starts to get too cold, he takes out his boat, he brings an airboat to tow along beside of him, and if he finds any turtles that are sea stunned, he finds them, drops them off at the ecologist at the national park to warm them up and return them to sea. Now, isn't that like the coolest thing?
Well, you could have turned them into turtle soup. Right?
True. Mm-hmm. But
I think this
is much nice.
I think that's very admirable. So
yes. Now, I'll tell you, I will confess that I kind of had second thoughts about this story. Was it too cutesy? Was it too up? And considering all the crap that we're seeing out of DC and out of Doge and out of Orange Julius, I kind of thought, no, we need something a little lighter. So as I was sitting on my front porch, because today actually was like the eye of the storm, so to speak. We've had 2 days worth of really, really crummy, dangerous weather, and we've got 2 days of it coming up. But today was kind of like the eye of the storm. And so Lily and I were out there, and as we're sitting out there, I've been waiting. I love my hummingbirds. Haven't seen any yet until today. Little
Well,
dude came
okay.
buzzing in front of me, stopped in front of me and looked at me. Then he wheeled around. I've got two shepherd's crooks in front of my front porch, the feeders.
Mhm.
And so back and forth between the two, and he came back and hovered in front of me, and it was almost like he was saying, "Dude, where's the smorgasbord?" So I had to immediately come in and make some hummingbird nectar. And so I've got my hummingbird feeders out now. So I'm real excited about that. But Lily was also at the corner of the porch, and she saw something, and she was whining. And when she's whining, whenever she barks, she's on guard. And she'll bark at the neighbors, she'll bark at the cars going by, she'll bark at the cows over across the road. But when
Mhm.
she whines, it's something that's got her intrigued. Usually she does it. We've got a salamander that she wants to try to play with every year, and he never wants to play. And we've also got a couple of toads that like to come, to the garden and visit. And I figured it was one of those. So I went over to look. I didn't see anything. So I actually went off the porch, walked around to the corner of the porch to look, and then I saw movement in the grass. Here is a little teeny tiny baby bunny rabbit that you could fit
Aw.
in your shirt pocket.
Aw.
That's what she saw.
Aw.
Um, Now, I kind of wondered whether this rabbit was too young to be out by itself. But there's no nest there, because rabbits burrow, and the
Mhm.
mother will pull out tufts of her fur to line this with, and so there was no sign of a burrow, no sign of any rabbit hair anywhere. So if this little guy's out on his own, that means he's able to take care of himself, you know, relatively speaking. So because I wondered, should I call a rescue? Because they do have an animal rescue local that could have taken him, but I think he's going to be okay. But those are two aspects of nature that I saw today, alongside the story that made me think, you know what? There is a lot more in this world than all the negativity and all the stuff that we're seeing going on. So, what better way to focus on some of the positives than to see a hummingbird, or to see a baby bunny rabbit, or to hear about a guy who's rescuing sea turtles? How cool is that?
And if you would like more good news, the program right before this show is And Now the Good News with Reverend Dr. Robert Brzezinski with more stories like that. So
I
thank you
didn't.
very
I
much,
didn't take
Reverend
this
Jeff
story
Radcliffe.
though, did I?
What
Yeah,
now?
you're welcome. I didn't take the story from him, did I? The turtle story? He did. We wasn't going to do that, was he?
I don't know.
I missed him. I missed it this week, so I don't know.
Are you ready to get out the tiniest of violins?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Oh boy, I saw this and I said, oh, I gotta talk about it on the Fireside Chat. Nicole Russell is a columnist at USA Today. She's a mother of four who lives in Texas. She writes, I'm tired of being mocked and hated because I am a conservative woman. As
Quelle
a
dommage.
clutch your pearls. As a
Okay.
conservative woman living in Texas, I often feel like I'm living in a dual reality. I'm a mom and a writer, but that's not all. I go to church. I laugh with friends, and I wave at my neighbors while we are all walking our dogs. At dinner, my kids and I discuss the Beatitudes, the Bill of Rights, and the best and worst things that happened that day. We call them highs and lows. I love to cook. I hate to clean and probably need to have a better morning routine. And my life is similar to millions of other women in America. Get out your violin. But online, in the legacy news media, in my increasingly ugly inbox, I live in a different world. In that world, I'm portrayed and viewed through a singular lens, my conservative beliefs. And as such, I am easy to hate, mock, and scorn. She says, we are more than our politics. And she gives as an example the demonization of White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt, who was on the 700 Club, saying that 47 is being oppressed by negative spiritual warfare. Yeah. The Washington Post provided a recent example on how conservative women are so often demeaned and patronized in the mainstream media. Last Monday's profile of White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt, written by reporter Kara Vogue, drips, drip, 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 with condescension, starting with the headline. In Carolyn Leavitt's world, Trump's word is enough. Leavitt is a 27-year-old devout Christian and conservative who has been an excellent, in her opinion, spokeswoman for President Donald Trump's agenda. This goes on and on and on and on. But I will go to the end here. For all of their flaws, Democrats used to promote tolerance and inclusivity. They used to say at least that they embrace women's rights, but that tolerance apparently doesn't extend to many women who exercise their right to form their own beliefs and to vote for the candidate of their own choosing. In progressives' eyes, those evil progressives out there, those women, conservative women, deserve to have their accomplishments devalued and their appearance mocked. She said this in conclusion: I'm tired of being the butt of jokes and scorned because I am a conservative woman and a mother. I'm sick of legacy media acting like women such as Leavitt, Vance, J.D. Vance, and also myself as an anomaly. And I'm done with seeing...
Stop for a second. Did she just call J.D. Vance a woman?
No, it was her wife, his wife that was mentioned.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah.
I think...
Anyhow, she says, I'm done with seeing progressives in politics and also journalism spew hate at women for embracing their conservative political and social values. You get first. You get first stab, Reverend Jeff Radcliff.
Well, a few years ago, one of my personal heroines, Michelle Obama, said, when they go low, we go high. And we tried that. And we got beat up, we got smashed, we got demeaned and maligned. And a lot of our folks finally gave up on trying to take the high road because of where it got us, which was absolutely nowhere. it was a good thought. It was a good idea, and I think that one day we will go back to going high when they go low.
Mm-hmm.
But we decided well, not we as in the collective we, but there are some Democrats who've decided that maybe we need to adopt the tactics that the GOP and the MAGA crowd have been using. And so we start using their tactics against them. And then we get folks like poor little Mary Sunshine over here, who's now got clouds all over her little blue sky. And, and I call bullshit anyway on this. Oh, we talk about the Beatitudes and we talk about the Bill of Rights at dinner. Nobody in America does that. Nobody. John Quincy Adams, Thomas Jefferson, none of those guys did that. Well, maybe they did, but not us. We talk about other things. So I do feel for her because a lot of those people have gotten on the receiving end of a lot of negativity. They brought a lot of it on. Do you remember a few years ago when the guy is berating his kid, the television commercial, and he's saying, don't do drugs. Where did you learn to do this? And the kid said, I learned it from watching you. Well, you don't like us using your tactics against, then train us to do better. And in order to train us to do better, you got to do better. And you know what? They're not going to want to do that because they like being down in the mud and the gutter and the muck and the mire. They just don't like it thrown at them.
Yeah, I didn't read this part, but I want to read it to you. It says, Salon also gave us this affront to good taste. From Mar-a-Lago face to uncanny AI art, MAGA loves ugly in submission to Trump. The article by senior writer Amanda Marcotte is filled with cruel attacks. This is from Salon on the appearance of conservative women in leadership positions, including Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. The article includes this gem. Get ready. Drag queens also embrace outlandish gender performance, but it's to subvert rigid gender roles instead of reinforcing them. That, plus your typical drag queen knows how to make 5 pounds of makeup look cool instead of gross. But they won't share their secrets with the ladies of the GOP. So she's saying drag queens are cool, conservative women are gross, and that's what passes for journalism in 2025.
You should have explored that Mar-a-Lago face a little more, because it's fascinating. Because you see these fresh-faced, young, beautiful women, and as they've gone on in their pursuit of MAGA and Donald Trump and kissing orange behind, they've had work done. They've had lots of work done, and before they've got.
You mean plastic surgery
and Botox, and they don't look anything like what they did before, and it's fascinating to me. But they should not be surprised that their stuff is going to come back on them, because even the Bible says that as a man thinketh in his heart, so he is. And so we're seeing that come out in the Mar-a-Lago phase, and we're seeing their ugliness come back on them. And we will get to the point as spiritual people and as progressives and as Democrats to going back to the high road. But for right now, they're just being the instruments to give back to them what they've put out into the world.
Let me say to Mrs. Russell, first of all, you seem like a very nice woman. You seem from the article to be a good mom, trying to raise your kids the best that you can. What we as progressives and liberals have a challenge with is when you try to push your beliefs and your agenda on us. Now, you'll come back and you'll say, well, you've been trying to do it with the LGBTQ, and you've been trying to do it with the with abortion and all that. Mrs. Russell, once again, it's that you seem like a nice woman. However, it's your beliefs that stink. And that when you go ahead and you say the things that you say, you go ahead and you tolerate, and also you stand up for individuals who are acting less than Christian in their morals and values. When you go ahead and you stand up and you say, well, they're doing the best they can. No one is judging you based upon your lifestyle. What they're judging you on is that you're trying to impose that lifestyle of the 40s and 50s upon all of us through Project 2025, and that we don't like it. And that the women of this time don't like it either. A majority of them. So, again, the tiniest of violins to Nicole Russell.
I hope it's a song that she likes. I mean, if nothing else, we can give her that. But they shouldn't be surprised. So, like Forrest Gump's mother always said, what'd she say? Oh my God, I just lost it. Stupid is as stupid does. Well, ugly is as ugly does. And if you're going to act ugly, Mr. Jesus don't like ugly. Okay.
Well, I tell you what,
the name, you better live up to the standards that he set. And if you're not going to do that, then you might as well drop the name, because you're not living it.
Reading the Beatitudes. Isn't that woke material now?
I is what I is.
I don't know. I think you better, Nicole, you better check with your pastor. That may be woke material now. Oh, yes, man. You can only laugh at this. But again, that let's understand that we have the power here. Go out, let your voice be known, keep calling your representatives and your Congress people, keep up the pressure. What is happening again? We didn't even talk about the elections on Tuesday, where again that Elon went ahead and put a whole bunch of money into trying to sway that election, and the folks up in Wisconsin said, no, we are going to run our own state the way that we want to. Yeah. So.
And then he got on national television and nearly burst into tears, crying about Tim Walz making fun of him on one of his speaking engagements.
Oh.
So, you know what? Money does not buy brains. Sorry.
And guess what that chime in the background says?
That it's time to go.
It's time to go.
It's time to go. That clock, I will tell you something. That clock was in the den, and it was up high where I couldn't reach it. So I had to have a friend of mine come and get it down from me. And it needed to change the battery because it was chiming weird things at weird times. So now that I've got it back to chiming the way it's supposed to, it's letting us know, yeah, it's time to roll. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for always being on. Sometimes at last minute. Well, I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Karma is coming back on me because I just got a phone call before this show. And I was told by the chief inspirational officer of New Thought Media Network. Guess who is doing Science of Mind conversations tomorrow at 11 o'clock? And I said to Reverend Brzezinski, I said, Reverend Doctor, I'd be glad to do it, but I'd like a little more time. And he started, well, anyhow, I said yes. And I also said, this is how we do things at New Thought Media Network. We go ahead and we take people to the edge and we kick them good off. And we say, you better sink or swim here.
That reminds me of a cartoon that I posted on Facebook one time, because you've got a little bear mother holding her cub and she'll say, I'll love you for always. And then you've got a tiger and she's holding her little cub and she said, you're my baby and I'll always be here for you. And then you've got the picture of a mother bird kicking her baby out of the nest saying, fly. Bad word that I can't use because I refuse to.
You refuse.
Fly, Gritch. And she so yeah. Wait till the last minute and then kick you saying.
Well, listen Gritch. Again. When you work for New Thought Media Network, that happens a lot.
Hey, like sending me a link.
Try to work a conference with him. Yes, it happens a lot. You're told to do a bunch of stuff that you have no idea what you're doing. And you just, okay, no problem. All right.
Diana wants to know what happened to the penguin story. I didn't have one. Did you?
The penguin story was about the tariff put on the islands that have no inhabitants, but they have penguins.
Maybe we could do it next week.
We'll do it next week. I don't know. Those penguins, man, they really deserve that tariff, that 10% tariff.
Oh, okay.
Jeff, thank you so very much. And hopefully see you next week. And folks, we're out of time. And again, thank you for joining us tonight. And again, you have the power. You have the power. Speak up, speak out. Go get involved in the over 1,000 rallies tomorrow, hands-off rallies all across the United States and around the globe. Please, you can go online, get information. Go out there and again, peacefully protest. Let your voice be heard because it is powerful. All right. On behalf of all of us here at the New Thought Media Network, I'm Reverend Michael. I'm going to wish you a very pleasant good night and also a great week.
Thanks for joining us this evening for Friday's Fireside Chat with Pastor Michael Mangus. Join us again next week at 8 Eastern, 6 Mountain for more spiritual conversations for today. For more information and replays of past shows, please visit the New Thought Radio and Media Network's Facebook page. Until next week, may God bless you richly and abundantly.